Peace. Assalamu alaikum. You see my hair? Thought I might show my natural hair. Assalamu alaikum. Hotep. Namaste. Jambo. Ashe. What else? Duan Shalom. All the greetings of love and light to the darkest minds of the light. I'm Napashida. I changed the title. I'm going to talk about some more interesting stuff. I want to talk about the angry, bitter people. I want to talk about something more exciting, like the Dark Watchers that I talked about a while ago, like a few days ago, actually. So thank you for being here. I'm going to probably turn my camera off in a minute, but thank you for being here. And you know, I really do appreciate my loyal supporters, like people who are regulars. Please hit the like button. Boss Trucker, Smoking Conversations, Sakina Ra, that's Sakina. Oh my gosh, I was wondering. I just read the first part, Smoking Conversations. Sakina, pleased to see you here, my sister, Queen Sakina Ra. I think she put these comments before, but still, I love Sakina. Heru, oh, I'm a warrior. Am I the woman king? Peace, Latoya. Latoya, I'm sorry I didn't answer your call. I was going, but I'm going to call you. And if I don't, call me again. I love you very much. You're such a great sister. You're so loyal and awesome and smart and wise. And you really look out for me. So peace, fine, Phoenix. Let's talk about the dark watchers in the darkest hour. Let's do that. I'm not going to talk. I'm not going to feed the trolls. I was going to feed them, but I did enough. I was wilding out of my shorts. But so I'm going to turn my camera off, but I'll still be here. And I want to just discuss some things. Like, is that okay with everybody? You know, get your popcorn, get your blankets. I actually want to get a blanket. Even though it's cozy inside, I just want to get a blanket. And hold on, let me grab my blanket right now. Wait, which one should I get? I like this one. I have a couple. Okay. I have a leopard print couple. I have a lot of leopard print blankets. I like animal print, especially on like blankets and stuff. So I have a leopard print one, and I have this floral gray, like Japanese kind of floral one. And then I have this one with an animal on it. This is like a camping one. I think this one has a bear on it. And then I have just a regular black comforter. Which one should I get, huh? Tell me which one. Well, let me get this one and turn the camera back on. See if you get yours too, y'all. It's gonna be a scary story. No, I'm just kidding. We're gonna talk about some stuff, some things. The Watchers here. What about this one? What do you think? Do I look cozy? Oh, no. Yes. I feel cozy. I have this other one back here. I have a couple. This one too. But no, this one will do just fine. So let's see here. I was talking about the Watchers. Those who tuned in for me to freak out, stick around. This is going to be good anyways. I'm not going to freak out and talk about anybody, but I do want to talk about the Watchers. I had started to talk about them as like their beginnings and connect them to um Neanderthals. Yeah, I'm going to do that. So listen, my theory is that, I'm going to turn off the lights. My theory is that, give me a second, let me turn these off. Okay, so I think that the Watchers, the Dark Watchers, first off, do you guys know what the Dark Watchers or who the Dark Watchers are? Man, anybody? No? The Dark Watchers are these entities that have been reported on, phenomenal sightings, like phenomenal entities, inexplicable presence of these beings that people have seen around the world. And it's undeniable that people have, there's so many stories. I mean, thousands of stories. And they are so similar. So people can't deny that something's going on. Everybody's not making these stories up. I have my own personal story, so I'm 100% sure that it's real. If you haven't had that experience, you would, of course, be skeptical, but let me tell you, they're real. So on my walk and on my channel, I have a series that I've been doing. It's the Walk and Talk series, and on one of these series, I talked about the Dark Watchers, and I talked about my experience about one picking me up out of my bed when I was a child. Now, I can tell the story again because it really never gets old. But and for those of you, I would like for you to watch that Walk and Talk episode, so to speak, one of my lives. But I'll go ahead and tell you the story, and then I'll tell you another story that I have not told on the internet yet. I don't think I have. I've encountered these things throughout my life often. Okay, so the first time a dark watcher, and I think I explained what they are, right? So there's these dark entities, very tall entities, and they are seen around the world, parts of the Southwest. They're really spotted a lot at Big Sur in California. They try to name them the California Dark Watchers, but no, they're everywhere. So, excuse me. Okay, sorry about that. I was yawning. All right. When I was a little girl, we were living on a street in a neighborhood, a brand new neighborhood, and my father and uncles had houses on that street. Something came down out of the sky around dusk when we were all playing outside as children. It was just like the saucers, just like, Independence Day, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, the spaceships, so-called UFOs. It looked just like that, had lights around it, and it landed in a field. I mean, a thick brush, like in the Southwest is obviously desert land. And there was air coming up from underneath it, and it was blowing up dust. And it was just really obviously astounding. And my parents, my dad, uncles, mom, and my aunts went down to check it out. They were walking down to check it out when some, like, 3 or 4 cars drove up, black cars. And men got out and they're like, oh no, they blocked my parents and my aunts and uncles and my mom, well, my parents, from going near it. And they said, oh, it's just a new aircraft that we're testing out at Luke Air Force Base, which is an Air Force base here in Phoenix. So we all back to our homes, got ready for bed, went to bed. Now I'm kind of blurry on it, but I don't think it was the same night. I was about 3 or 4. So yes, I remember from age 4. Okay. So I'm in bed and my sister, we share a room, and I look and there's this being, this person standing at the foot of my bed, big, tall giant man, like 7 feet, 6 something, way over 6 feet, like taller than a basketball player. And I'm just like, it's dark in the room, and my sister's in the room too. And she sees it and she's like, it goes to pick me up. It picks me up out of the bed. And I want to say he, because obviously it was masculine energy, had deep voice, big and strong. It just was masculine. So he. And my sister said, "Put her down, mister." And then suddenly she was just like, didn't say anything, was frozen. So he's carrying me out and he's walking me down the hallway. And I black out. I'm out. I faint, whatever. I wake, when I come to, he's outside of the house, walking me down to the field where the so-called aircraft slash spacecraft landed previously, the days prior to what was going on. And I looked up at him. I couldn't see his face, but I could feel his heaviness. Like when he walked, I could feel the ground shaking and vibrating all the way through his body. Because my head, when he was carrying me, was like close to his chest, like up against his chest almost. And I could hear like boom, boom. And he had a really deep voice, but he was all dark. You couldn't see his face, but I knew there was like hair around it. I want to say dreadlocks, but I don't, because it just was thick hair, like around his, like a beard or big hair around his face and neck, I guess. And he said, "There's something I want to show you," or something like that. Like, "I want to show you something." And he's carrying me to the field. And when he spoke, his voice was so deep. It was like, "I want to show you something." And that was so scary. It was unbearably scary that I just blacked out again. And when I came to again, I was in my bed. And so the wild thing, no pun intended, is, I mean, years later, decades later, I took my son to see the movie Where the Wild Things Are. Those things, the big wild things, they would be like that thing, but dark. And when it was carrying the boy on one scene and said, "There's something I want to show you," I lost it in the movie theater. I was hysterical. I wasn't screaming, but I was crying. I couldn't understand how the movie said exactly what I was told. But now, as I examine it later on, my son is much older now. I examine it later on. I figure it's like this has happened to so many people, and that thing that they've been told. There's something I want to show you. Get it? So, because I was like, what? I couldn't handle it, and that happened to me also with other things. Like I was like watching something, and it connected and brought back a memory. I was watching, I want to say Stranger Things. Was it Stranger Things? Oh my God, I was hysterical. Because I think it was something happened where one of the girls went into the tree. She had to go down and then she had to go get up. Like she had to go down into the hole of the tree and then she could stand up. And I have a memory like that when this is, okay, now this is separate from the Dark Watchers, or maybe it isn't, but this is something that happened that was phenomenal, out of this world. You wouldn't believe it. Okay, so my sister and her husband had an apartment in New York City before they had gotten their house. And I kept on having an actual vivid memory of going downstairs in their house, in their apartment, into a basement And then there was nope, scratch that, rewind. Before I went downstairs into the basement, there was like a crawl space like I would open a closet in their house and I'd go into the closet and I had the memory there was like a chute, like an opening in the closet, in the back of the closet. And I would go into the chute head first, but it dipped down, like you go straight in, but then it would curve down. And you had to I don't know how to say it, slither almost, like stick your head up and through the space and crawl. So you go in and then it dipped down and then you have to go back up out. So it was like it went in and then it dipped down and then you had to go back up in like the space. And then when you would do that, you'd come out on the other side or I did, and there were stairs to a basement. I promise you, the wildest thing. It was a real memory. And even to this day, it's a real memory. I can't explain to you how I just had that memory for, I'm going to say, a good 10 years. And then I realized, wait a minute, they lived in an apartment. They didn't have that. That wasn't there. How am I remembering this when they didn't have it? But people can say a lot of things. Yeah, you can say, oh, it was your imagination. Oh, probably a dream. I would go in there often, and I would go in, go down the stairs in the basement, right? And then I would be in this room, like with all these boxes and just like a storage place. And I would wait until I saw there was a door. Remember, this is down the basement, right? But there would be a door, an exit or entrance, whichever way you're coming, obviously. And it would be at night. And there would be a door, and I would wait for this car to drive up. I would see the headlights come up. I could see the light coming from under the door, and I would go out the door. And I don't remember getting in the vehicle, but I would see the headlights, bright headlights. That is obviously I'm giving the memory. I'm not making this up. I don't share this all the time with the internet because you know how it is. They're obviously going to make fun, but I don't care because this is stuff that is real. And I had that memory for so long until one day I must have I don't know what happened, but I was like, hold on. They didn't move into their house until this time. They were in an apartment. So how was I doing all that? So that memory is crazy to me. I mean, it just, even right now, it's a trip that I'm remembering something, but it doesn't make sense. So people might say, well, maybe it didn't happen. Whatever. It is a definite memory. And I was an adult at the time, like a young adult. I wasn't like a, a child. So back to the Watchers. Okay, so I told you about what happened to me as a child. And then once that happened, other things were happening that I could vividly remember. They may have happened before I I had that encounter, but I know, like, I can tell you, and a lot of the stuff that happened, I have witnesses. It wasn't just imagination, like the thing about the guy, the big Watcher. My sister would say Mister, afterwards, and refer to that thing, right? So I wasn't dreaming. So anyway, so the other things that happened, just I always have had, um, in our family, like in our generations, we have a connection. Everybody has a connection, but we are in tune with like things that are around. And I thought about it these things, we hear about guardian angels and all this stuff. I think these things, some of them are assigned to us, or maybe they just, have an affinity toward like our families, each one of us, like each different one. And maybe they take the time to just stick with us, but we don't see them all the time. And then they come forward sometimes because they just, they watch us from afar. They really love us, admire us. And that's possible because if you look at how people watch animals in the wild, like they do that for decades. They'll watch all kinds of different animals, observe them, and they do very minimal interaction, but the animals will see them sometime and things like that. So I digress. So I think that they do that, and there are different ones. Like for the most part, I think most of them are benevolent. And I don't mean like, oh, they're so good, they're so sweet and kind, loving us. I think most of them are just because they've elevated to a level of they don't have that piece of salt. They don't have that weakness to be like, bitter and jealous or, you know, lustful for the most part. You know what I mean? They've mastered that because they're creations that were here from the beginning, the ones that we call in all the spiritual stories, like we call them Elohim, like gods and um, Anunnaki and things like that, right? So all I got to say, Nepal, appreciate how you think critically and join the herd. Oh, okay. Thank you, Asal. Not, I was thinking that's what you meant. I thought that's what you meant, but I just I get it. Thank you for clarifying, but it's still a sweet comment. Thank you. So you see how we're interacting right now, like how I'm interacting with Asal and I interact with Sakina and Latoya. So think about it, how these, imagine us, right? And we've been existing for like, because we're really not that old of a, how do you say, as civilized, right? What are we like? Our civilizations go, we'll give it what, a 13,000 years? That's pushing it, but hear me out. So imagine when we're like, as far as civilization, when we're like 100,000 years old, as if we don't become extinct, which we won't, it's impossible. That's why they haven't become extinct, but they're limited, right, guys and gals, right? So they're in the earth still and they're surviving, and they realized, okay, we're not gonna survive. Even in like the book of Enoch and the book of Giants, it talks about how they were just easy 13,000. Our species are older and advanced over time. Yeah. So I'm saying like the civilized part of us, not, I'm not talking about like, oh, the first human and all that. When I'm talking about civilization. So yes. So imagine they already, hear me out, because this is why our stories are like, oh, the gods created us. They've already evolved hundreds of thousands of years. They really have. How do I know this? How do I think I know this? Because when you read stories about the Anunnaki making like a hybrid, a hybrid human slash god creature, and then you hear about the Nephilim being half giant, half human, right? Okay, so let's listen to that. Listen to this, okay? Even in science, you hear how the Neanderthals, were different types of humans. Denisovians, Neanderthals, Homo sapiens, right? So these watchers that we see now. You know, we talk about the ancestors, we talk about creator gods. These are they've mastered all the so-called ego. They've mastered like I gotta be the one, and oh, I want sex, and I want food, I want it all. They've mastered that because I was going to say in the Book of Giants, you see how the Nephilim, they were like the gods, these creator dark, let's call them the dark ones, right? So the dark ones, when I say the dark ones in this conversation, I'm talking about gods, okay? Which gods are really these creator beings, all right? Of all the stories. So they made it with Homo sapiens, with humans, and then came a Neanderthal. And you hear in science, even in archaeology, you hear about the Neanderthal hunting down humans, eating humans, being just, just ruthless, big, huge. Uh, they had amazing speed, just crazy, like godlike power compared to humans, Homo sapiens, I mean, because they were all humans. So so the Nephilim, now I'm going back to the stories. The Nephilim in the Book of Giants, it says they were just eating people and destroying all the land. And they just were like, yeah, this is great. But then when they started to eat each other, because there was nothing left, and then some of them started to develop this kind of consciousness of, they didn't develop it. They started to tune into the real, like, universal mind of God, so to speak, which I'm saying is like the vibration that we all should be tuned into. Some of them started to tune in, and so they did develop their ability to tap into their consciousness, right? To that type of consciousness. And when they did so, they started to do what? I want to see who's listening. What do you think happened? All these hybrid, half human, half dark one, half God. What do you think happened when they started to like tune in to like the universal mind of God, like all connected to everything? And what do you think they start to feel? Remorse. They started to feel bad about just the stuff they were doing, all the destruction and the lust and the hatred and just no regard for others. And that is amazing. That's so amazing because it talks that goes into like, contrition. That's always taught in everything, in Buddhism, Hinduism, Christianity, even in all Abrahamic faiths. Um, doing something that's an offense, and then what comes after it. And so they started to feel real contrition, like really be sad for what they were doing. Like, wow, we suck. And then the other ones, though, they were like, what do you mean we suck? This is fun. Let's eat it. Let's eat some more of us. Like, no, bro, come on. You see what we're doing? Look around. And then they got a message from one of the other, I'm doing air quotes, gods, angels, dark ones. They're all the same. The names are just the confusing part. These are the original creators. Let me read what Fine Phoenix says. Napa, if you are what your father is, how does Moses mix with the Kemetic priesthood? Oh, I'll talk to you about that later, I promise. I have something coming. You're going to love it. You're going to love it. I talked to Micah Heber about it. He's a very, very steadfast, staunch Israelite or Hebrew. And he gets what I'm saying, and he's going to assist me in every way with more information that he has, and I'm going to bring it out. So thank you for asking. But let's get back to what I was talking about. All right, so think about it, right? They're like, some of them are getting like, this sucks. We suck, bro. And then this angel comes and he's like, yeah, you guys do suck. You're right. And guess what? You're going to get wiped out because we're stepping in. Now, in the story, you'll hear like the Most High is going to wash you out, and I'm not saying the Most High isn't real, but I'm making this story completely understandable and relatable without anybody having to anyone who doesn't subscribe to religions that I'm just that are linked to these stories, you can still logically say, okay, that makes sense. So stay with me. Basically, the deluge, the flood, Shabbat Shalom, yes, botanical. So basically, the flood that we hear about and that goes across the board in all different cultures, the creator gods, right? The ones who are the creators, there were those that were not doing that stuff, by the way. I didn't mention that. They weren't like, yeah, let's have sex with all the humans and let's eat them too, and let's eat all the animals and let's tear down the trees, just like people are doing today, by the way. So some of them were like, nah, we're good. We're gonna keep on, we're gonna stay on course, we're gonna stay balanced, we're part of this, we're gonna stay powerful. Peace. So these gods had dominion over, they could control the elements. And I shouldn't say gods because I mean they are called gods, but they're not. Don't even look at it as, if you don't want to, you don't have to say gods, right? There was a group of whatever people, the first ones, right? And they could manipulate all the elements, even of course water, and flood the place. And they all got together, that council, that one, the ones who never went off course and started acting all wild and mating with the humans and having these hybrid children. And I'm not saying they're, hold on, when I talk about hybrid children, people say, oh, those evil giants, but there are some that changed. There are some that, and they're here today in the earth, their offspring, even maybe them, I haven't worked that out, and they're the watchers, they're the big giants that we hear about, the ones that I said, the one I said picked me up, the Sasquatches, the Yetis, the dark watchers of Big Sur. These are the same beings, at least their offspring. So some of them are like, okay, I'm talking about the Nephilim now, the ones that are hybrids. Some of them were like, we suck, we're bad, and we deserve to get wiped out. And then some of them were like, I don't want to be wiped out. I'm gonna go do what's right, and I'm going to master this place that we're in, and I'm gonna do what I'm supposed to do. So some of them, now I'm talking, those are the Nephilim, the half human ones, right? Now, not to get confusing, but also the ones that were not human, the ones that were just the first ones, the first creators, those are the ones that also are still in the earth. Just like we know the, how do you say it? Nobody's okay, like angels. I hate using, I mean, I don't hate, I shouldn't say hate, but I have to use some of the like spiritual terms, Bible terms, so you can get what I'm saying. Angels and slash demons don't die, right? So they're in the earth. They're here, meaning they're in the world. And then their offspring, these Nephilim ones, I think that they can, if they choose, either they are still existing, I haven't really figured that out yet, or they're existing, or they die and they just have been like the ones, don't, I hope I don't lose you. The ones that I said are the original ones that made it with the humans. Well, because they have power over this realm, they can keep people, they can keep them alive if they want, and there is proof of different, I guess they're called swamis, like different spiritual people like swamis and Hindu shamans and Indian shamans, and of course stories of Jesus, even stories, I think there's stories of Muhammad, maybe not, don't quote me on Muhammad, but you know how they say bringing people back to life? That's in a lot of different spiritual writings as well. And there are also those people in India, if you know who I'm talking about, they're like the men that live at the bank on the banks of, with all the dead. Like when people go to oh my god, I forgot the name of the river. That's a sad shame. Oh, what's the river? I used to know the river. Okay, well, it's a river in India, and people drop their dead bodies there. And there's this like cult of shamans that go and they do rituals around the dead, and they even sometimes eat the dead, and they have been known to like do all kinds of, you know, phenomenal things, like spiritual, like bringing things back to life. So why am I saying this? Because on a small scale we see that, and we just doubt it right away. We're like, oh, that's stupid. No, because it's been documented. And even in technology with transhumanism, there are ways to keep people, so to speak, uh, keep them alive, right? So imagine a so-called God, or a creator being already who knows the blueprint. They would have no problem keeping something alive. Like if it died, they'd know how to just like, oh, I know how to manipulate the elements. I know how to keep that energy in that flesh. Boom, go back in. So why am I saying this? Because these beings are existing still in this earth as we speak today. Oh, thank you so much, Yas Botanical. Whew, I thought I was losing y'all. No, but because it's really complex. But these are things that make sense, right? Thank you. I'm glad, and I know there's so many dark minds in here, some of the darkest minds of the light. So I appreciate all of you. And if you guys could just hit the like button, we have a nice little meeting here. Not Indians. I got friends in that region, and they will tell you it's overplayed. They hate dark skinned folks. Oh, I know, but we're not assault. I'm 100% with you about the caste system. We're going to focus on beyond. See, that's us as what we call Homo sapiens, and the humans. We've like devolved in a sense, even though we think we evolved. Yeah, thank you. We became so petty, like, oh, I don't like you because your skin is dark. I don't like you because you can't. Your family comes from this region, and we're warring tribes. Even before going about dark skin, when I'm talking about when we all were dark, in the so-called beginning, then of course there was all different shades of people. But you get what I'm saying? Like, we still had these things that we would war about. And why? Why? Because it's our nature. Why is it our nature? Because when we were created, there's something called epigenetic coding, right? And some people say, well, that doesn't last. It lasts if you don't get rid of the epigenetic coding in your DNA. It'll keep generating into the next generation. It'll keep being passed down, right? So we always were running and away from these Nephilim, or you can call them Neanderthals, these giants that are talked about, that were eating everybody and everything and destroying everything. Okay? We as Homo sapiens, we were always like at war with somebody. So we started to do that, internally of, okay, so we're humans. Now we're going to go against each other in this way and that way and this way. So, okay. So, and why did we do that too? Because there were some of us that were half Neanderthal and half human. Now I'm using Neanderthal because you can look at that factually know no way to refute it. You can look at that in history. So let's take it to the spiritual, right? So I'm going back to these creators, these dark creators in the earth. So over time, what happened to these dark creators? Let's just, I'm just going to throw this out here. One example. This isn't the only thing that happened, but this is one. Let's say, okay, ready? They made it with a human woman, and then their offspring, they stayed around them, watching them. Uh-oh. You get what I'm saying? Oh, where's my bomb? Let me get my bomb out. No. But let me see. No, that's not a bomb. Let me see. What do I have here? I might have to do the bomb too. Do I have one? No. Man, that's not good. Forget it. That's breaking the vibe. I don't like it. Okay, back to the thing. But you get what I'm saying? They in Hebrew they're called Eliod. I can't really see that. Eliod, or say it Eliud. Is that how you say it? Eliud. I think I've heard of that. The children of the Nephilim. I think I've heard of that. So, oh, let me see what Asal said. I mentioned infinite regression for a reason. To attack atheists. I got someone that you remind me of at academic level if you let me share. Oh wow, I wish I could right now, but I'm on my phone. I'm not at home. Well, I'm lying, I'm home. But I'm on my phone right now because I'm not using my laptop. I can't lie. People be saying I'm a liar too. I'm a horrible liar. I am such a horrible liar. That's why I was like, let me not lie. I just can't share right now. I'm sorry. Next time. You know what you can do though? Email me, and because I want to start doing more shows on my channel. So I would love to have you come on and do a show. And you could do a show with Sonetter as well. I could link you up with him for sure. But I want to bring you on, definitely. I was just telling the fib, y'all. And guess what? I'm not drinking tonight. Oh my God. And I cannot drink. They've told so many lies about me. Oh, she's an alcoholic. She pops pills. I had a tiny bit of sake. We were doing the music last night. And shout out to Ebony Queen. She's an awesome sister. Shout out to Mighty Hebrew and his beautiful family, his beautiful wife. Shout out to Adara. Shout out to everyone who's there. I was having fun listening to Ebony Queen. She's a genius sister. I love her energy. And Adara as well, how they were critiquing the music. I passed out, y'all. I passed out. Drinking some kombucha right now. I like kombucha. But anyway, thank you. I will. Just email me. Do you have my email address? It's my name, Napashadah1, NAPAHSHADAH1 at gmail.com. Can you believe somebody like went and made a Gmail with Napashadah? So I had to put one. Like, who's got my name as their Gmail? Annoying. Mohammed Hijab, University of Johannesburg debate. Oh, please watch. So you're in South Africa? Is that you, South Africa, Johannesburg? Yeah. He back you up at academic level. You are Jim. Okay, I'd love to. Definitely. Someone stole it. I know, right? So I'm glad you guys are here, everybody. So listen. So these watchers, don't forget to email me. So these watchers are watching their offspring generation after generation after generation after generation. Now, here's the cold part. Get ready. We know that they didn't just stay Neanderthals. Oh, merciful God. Why do I get calls when I'm live? This is getting good, right? Oh my God. Okay, just give me a minute, please, guys and girls. Ladies and gentlemen, 1 second. deep, right? Right? It's funny. You are so right, though. We're laughing. Let me tell you, this is so crazy how this is real. This is real. All the stuff we talk about, of course, there is an unfathomable one source which we call God, Yahweh, Allah. We know this, so I'm not denying. I'm 100% a theist. I'm not denying that. However, there are entities. When I say entities, people right away think floating balls of ethereal gas. No, I'm talking about what I've been talking about. Physical material beings in the earth. But here's another cool part. The material beings that we know as the creator gods that made it with the human woman, they know how to manipulate all types of elements, and they know they can go into ethereal, they can go into water, liquid form, they can go, of course, into solid material. So they can be air. What I'm saying is they can be air, they can be water. No, they can be air, liquid, or solid. That's facts. That's science. Anybody coming in like, oh, it's so no. But okay, that's science though, right? That different substances, and we are substances, and so are they. Different substances can be air, water, and solid. Those creator beings, they have that down. That's like, they're laughing, like, of course, duh. That's like if someone told us, did you know that you can actually whistle? I'm just doing something like it's easy for us. You can actually whistle, and you can actually clap your hands. That's the same with them. Like, they know that they can manipulate their form, their state. And why am I saying that? Because they have the ability to be everywhere. And that's where we start getting that concept of God. Get it? Not saying that there is not an unfathomable, omnipresent God. I like to repeat that because some people come in and say, so you're saying that the days are only God's? No, I'm saying what the stories have said, these ancient stories, which were told by people who witnessed it. They were right there. And those stories have been passed down, and they've been changed a lot, but there's still a basic similar thread. Creator beings mating with humans, present everywhere, being in the earth, right? Transmutation, boom, you got that. Perfect. I was thinking of alchemy, of course, when you heard me say ether, so I was thinking of alchemy. And alchemy used to be it still is by those who are the darkest minds, but it's now alchemy has said, oh, that's not real science, because they have to protect, so to speak, information. But I digress. So they're in the earth now, and they can even enter into, because we're talking about ethereal form, right? Let's get into the level of like how electricity and radio waves, what they travel through. Some people say, well, we all know they travel through air. Oh, do they? Are you sure about that? Are you sure it's just air that they travel through? Or is it something that is be a little deeper or beyond what we know as air? That's the ether. And why am I talking about this? Because when they can even enter into our devices, our electronic devices, and you can see, I always say, examine the microcosm, and then you will know the truth of the macrocosm. The microcosm is, we already see our so-called human government bodies monitoring everything we do. Smart this, smart that. Oh, my refrigerator was listening to me all this time. You get what I'm saying? So on a lower scale, we already know that. Imagine these actual creator beings. And now, with that said, they're not these like savage, brute beasts. Like, we hear about Sasquatch. People draw Sasquatch. Oh, it's hairy. They make it look like Chewbacca. No. Mm-mm. These are beings that are beyond what we know as the most genius and most intelligent. They're beyond it. You know what else I know they do? They give information to certain individuals that they choose. Like they'll give something to someone, or they'll let someone see something that others can't see. Not just themselves, of course, but like even like open up or make the what we call the veil thinner for you to see things. So we have these creator beings, and we know that they're watching. Oh, what I was saying is, now their offspring didn't just stay their offspring, right? They started mixing, and there was all kinds of cult people blending. So they are every Homo sapiens. There are Homo sapiens that have this so-called Neanderthal DNA, and I think don't quote me, but even Denisovian DNA has been found in yes, in like Asians. Okay, don't quote me, but I think so. So imagine that they're in showing up really strong in the DNA of certain people. But imagine those of us who their DNA doesn't show up so well, but they're still watching us. Or so to speak, like, let's say they made it with a woman, right? And that woman had one of their children, but she had made it with a Homo sapien who had a straight human child, so to speak. Well, you get what I'm saying. Nephilim, not a Nephilim child, or not a Neanderthal / Homo sapien child. So this woman had a full Homo sapien child, and then she had this Neanderthal child. That watcher who made it with her is gonna always watch her and all her family. So imagine, just I'm giving you different scenarios of why they're attached to all of us. They just stay with one particular group of one family, or one bloodline of people, and that's for hundreds and thousands of years. And now coming forward, they're with us all. Some of us, not as much as others for whatever reason. Because they have different personalities, just like humans do. Some of them, they never interact. Maybe some of them said, you know what, I don't want to watch this family anymore. I'm just going to go live in the mountains. I'm going to live in caves. I'm going to live in the sky sometimes. Sometimes I feel like freaking people out. I'm going to make myself a orb of light, and I'm going to float over the city, and I need a thrill. Peace, Greg. And so they're existing now. They exist now. And they're not, we see them sometimes in they've been spotted in dark form and light form, the darkest minds of the light. See the dualism? So they're dark watchers, and they are here, and they're with you. They're with you right now. Now, you know how you've been told in different Abrahamic religions, especially Christianity, and in Judaism, especially, and all Abrahamic religions. You know how they tell you, don't call on spirits, don't try to connect with the dead or spirits. They say that because there's some truth to that. Like, you're not supposed to be. Basically, you don't want to be like, come out, show yourself, I want to see you. You know what I mean? I'm funny. I make myself laugh because you might not be ready, and they might not appreciate that type of behavior. You know what I mean? If I'm hiding and trying for you not to see me, And I'm like uber intelligent. Like you're just like such a basic mind, but I still, know that I have love for you because I know what you are and what you will be. Oh, that's another thing. They're so advanced that they know you will evolve and be. They know exactly what you're going to be. You know what I mean? Like they can look at you, and you know how you look at someone, you see a kid or an individual and say that person's going places. I can see by the way they are. Now imagine their minds and their how advanced they are. They can see everything what you're going to do and be. And so what I'm saying is, imagine you're at that level, and then it's like it's an insult almost, like when you're like, and I'm not saying all of them feel that way, but like when you're like, I want to see you, come on out, and you don't know what they're like anyway. You don't know. Yeah, they have this. They're the creators. They have this connection with you, but you don't know what you're in for. You might not want to see the truth. So I think that's why. I mean, I don't think that's my take on why in ancient times they would tell people don't call on the gods, don't do it because they knew people were either probably having heart attacks, getting unalived, all kinds of stuff, getting abducted forever, taken forever. We don't know where this person went. You know what I'm saying? Their minds tormented, and that happens with humans, do that to humans. So imagine these creator beings doing that, these dark watcher beings. So that's why they're like, don't call on them. And I agree. I agree. I mean, I don't think it's wise to go searching for something like that because there's also, an element of respect. Like, why are you searching for it? You don't even know all about yourself and the world around you. Now, I appreciate those who do it. I might sound like a hypocrite because I like the information, but it's not completely a good thing to do because they will come forward and they'll bring themselves forward to you if they know you really want to see them. They'll show themselves. Maybe you subconsciously think you maybe you consciously think you don't, but subconsciously you do. And they show themselves. Even when they know subconsciously you do and they show themselves and you freak out and scream and start throwing stuff and shooting at them, they understand that. That's why in so many of the stories you'll hear I start throwing rocks and screaming and it was just standing there calmly. Then when I was shooting it, it did start to charge toward me, but I was they could do anything to you, but they just kind of like, how you shoo animals away, you really don't want to kill them, like squirrels or peccaries or whatever animals in the yard at night. You're not coming out trying to really kill them, but they're irritating. So I said enough about that. I want to get back to let me give you another story of mine about an experience. So one day, I think I did tell this story. One day, one afternoon, I was about, I was late teens, and my friend and her boyfriend had a friend that they once set me up with, and I was meeting him for like the second, third time. It wasn't like a new guy, and he liked me, and I liked him okay. And, um, we actually liked each other, I think. Now I remember, but I didn't like him after all of this happened. I'm gonna tell you why. Okay, so we go to, and where I'm from, Arizona, it wasn't as developed. Phoenix, especially. It was very rural, very lots of wilderness in a lot of places. So it's around the Lake Pleasant. So they're like, let's drive to the lake and have a picnic. Okay, that sounds fun. So we go picnic. We have a little grill. We grill at the lake. And ooh, this story is still. I can feel hair standing up on my arms right now still. So we go to the lake, and it's not like a lot of people there on the area where we are. Even back then, it was a time when it wasn't super busy. I think it was not summer, and it was still afternoon. We eat. We put out our little picnic blanket. We were cooking, laughing, music. But I should have told you in the beginning. When we got there, across the lake, and I'm saying, what? I'll give it about 150 meters away, because it's 300 meters. Is that let me think. 150 meters. So yeah, I think that's too far. Maybe I gotta check it out, y'all. How far away is 100 feet compared to meters? Meters are a lot bigger than, obviously, feet. If anybody is super good at converting, let me just say feet, okay? Just to be. So about, I'll say 100 feet. The lake is huge, right? 100 feet away. It's far, but I can see across the lake that there's this, oh my God, how can I explain it? It's a black, it looks maybe like a stool, not a stool. It looks like a mailbox. You know how the blue mailbox look? It looks like a mailbox, but it's shorter and it's closer to the ground. And I'm looking at it. I'm trying to make out, what is that? Like, because we're in the middle of the wilderness, like, basically, by a lake. There's no mailbox. Okay? There were no grills, like, how the park no, you have to bring your own little grill, and there's nothing. It's just brush, wilderness, bunch of whatever they call it, palo verdes and tumbleweeds, whatever, and water, a body of water. 3.2 feet per meter. Oh yes, so it definitely wasn't 100 meters. It was 100 feet. Thank you, because that'd be 300. Yeah. So it wasn't close, but it was far. It wasn't right up on us. That's my point. So we're the only ones out there. Like, you can hear I don't know if you've ever been. I mean, I'm sure some of you have, like in the wilderness, and like in like a wilderness space. You can hear everything. There's no car sounds. There's no industrial noise. It's just, you hear what's there. You hear a bird. You hear something rustling in the brush. You hear each other talking. So you could hear anyone essentially across the lake, plus the sound vibrates across the lake and it amplifies. So you could actually hear someone's conversation really clearly over the lake, over the water. So we're eating, we're talking, but when we first got there, I'm like, what is that? And we're laughing it off of like, what is, well, they are. I'm all back just like I am kind of now, but today I'd be like, I know what it is. But back then I was like, this isn't something, that's something. Okay, wait, I agree. I participated in a sorcery and opened up a doorway, which got me possessed by a spirit entity that called itself Baal. It was a terrifying experience, but I was saved by the Most High. Hallelujah. That's so beautiful. I love that. And yes, see, that's the same concept. See how you said a spirit entity? However, you could also say, yes, they go in spirit form. Remember, these things they can alter. They're not just these big, dark, black, giant shadow watchers. They also can transform into anything. What was that? Mystique. Remember in X-Men, that concept of Mystique? Something like that. So thank you for sharing that. I'm so glad you're doing great now. All right, so we we're sitting there, and I keep looking across the lake. And he's like, he's like, stop worrying about that. My friend and her boyfriend, after we've eaten, and while we're cooking, while we're eating, they're joking around. And I say, I think I saw it move. Because I kind of saw, imagine somebody squatting down and they like, because their feet hurt or whatever, then they readjust their legs, you understand? Like, and then they rock from side to side in the readjustment, you know? Imagine that kind of movement, but very subtle. I saw that and I go, wait a minute, I think I saw that thing move. I said, it moved. It was all pitch black. The thing was black. You couldn't really see anything. And then they're like, no, it didn't. I said, I think it moved. And then he kept saying, it's a garbage can. It's a garbage can. I was like, oh, you make me so annoyed. I was getting annoyed by him because I was like, no, it's not a garbage can. It's right out in the middle by the lake. There wouldn't be a garbage can right on the side of the lake. It's be more toward the parking lot when you walk down. There was a parking area. It's like, there's not a garbage can right by the lake. There probably is now, but not back then. And so we eat. I'm looking at it. We're eating, and they're like, "You're still looking at that thing? You're still talking about it?" And then they were looking, and then they went back to doing it. So my friend and her boyfriend, they start kissing, and you know, I'm sitting there with him, and don't you hate that though? When you're all awkward, like, "Oh my lord," they're over there on the blanket kissing, and it's like, "All right, don't give this guy any ideas." You know? But so they get up and they leave. Now the sun is going down. It's becoming like it's dusk. And he's talking to me. His back is to the thing. That's how confident that it was just a garbage can. I can see over his shoulder that thing. And I'm looking at it and he's talking. And, I liked him okay. He's talking all, oh, you're so beautiful. And I'm like, oh, thank you. Yeah. So he's trying to get with me, kiss me. I promise you, when he got close to kiss me, oh my God, that thing stood up. I promise you. It stood straight up and started walking toward us around the lake shore, the bank, like the lake shore, coming around toward us. It's like it waited for us, like it thought we were going to get distracted. I don't know, like waited for us to get distracted. And I was like, when I saw that thing stand up, boom, I screamed at the top of my lungs while I jumped up because I was already zoned in on it for hours. And I jumped up and I had grabbed the keys. I was gone. I mean, he saw it too. He was screaming, running behind me. He grabbed the blanket. I was driving away, and don't even judge me on this, okay? You don't know what you do in a situation like this. I don't know what that was. It didn't look like a man. It could have been a man. Could have been a killer trying to just do a Jason on us, like a Jason Voorhees, like how the teenagers get, oh, they'll be making out. I don't know, but I don't think it was a human. I Whatever it was when it stood up, it was tall, black, all black, like as if you just used charcoal to just draw a stick figure thing, but it wasn't stick figure. It was big, and it was walking. It just stood up and he started walking toward us. I was gone. I was already driving away in the parking lot. He was running behind the car, screaming. I'll never forget. I can see him right now. He's like, please don't leave me. Please. I'm so awful. I was going to leave him, you guys. I'm sorry. I feel bad, but I was younger back then, and I was telling him, I was annoyed. I was telling them that was something. He was running behind the car. So I slowed the car down. I did not stop. I slowed the car down. I opened the door, still driving. I said, get in. He jumped in, closed the door. The blanket was still slammed in the door. And we could see that thing in the rear view still walking around the lake toward where we were. And that was the story. I told him. I said, of course, me. I was like, I told you. And he was like, oh my God, what the F was that? Was that a killer? What the F? Oh, now you want to know what the F it was. But before it was all fun and games. That was how I felt. And that really made me not like him. I was like, ugh, we could have gotten killed or whatever, abducted. I don't know. And so that's another one of my now I think it was one of those, but I don't know why it was coming over to us. Is that crazy? Well, that's life. Everything isn't as you see it. I mean, we live in an amazing world. Ooh, 111. We live in an amazing, we don't even know, we haven't even scratched the surface on what's going on in the ocean. In the ocean where we are. Shoot, not just the ocean, we've got sinkholes in lakes, whirlpools that go down into the center, a so-called center of the earth. So yeah, I thought I'd share that with you. And if oh God, we can postulate a little bit more on what is going on with these dark watchers and the spirit realm. And we can do this more often. Peace and love to everyone. I appreciate all of you being here. Don't forget to hit the like. Yaz Botanical, thank you for your input. Even Ace of Prophets, thank you. Greg, always thank you, Greg. I appreciate your support. My sisters, Latoya Ma'at, Sakina Ra, Soup Bone, thank you for being here. Fine Phoenix. I think I said Asal Ka. If I didn't, I appreciate you. I appreciate you a lot. And who else? Everybody. Everyone. Smoking Conversations. I gotta get over there. Sakina Ra. Boss Trucker, yes. I won't take this one down, boss. Peace to the darkest minds of the light. We'll meet again tomorrow. You know what? I'll do a panel tomorrow. Let me read this last comment though. I'm glad. Okay. I mean I'll just do it with the computer. That's literally how the entity appeared to me. Pitch black, like universal darkness, with a red outline and piercing red eyes. It reminded me of this character called Father from Kids Next Door. When you tell that story about red eyes, you triggered something, but it wasn't red eyes. They were like, oh God, I don't know how to explain it. I don't want to give it a color, but I'm not talking about the things that I bought. This isn't about these stories I told you tonight or before. But okay, let me see if I can explain. I might as well tell you this too. Here's another story. Now, I had my son was a baby, and I was putting them. I put my children to sleep every night when they were little, so I was putting them to sleep in their room, and my husband at the time was in the living room watching something he was watching. And I was in the dark, and this thing came to my face, like, but it kept changing. Like, the Japanese kabuki like faces, like the snarling face and then the smiling face with the big nostrils, and it's like black and white and red, all designed. But this thing, and like the transformer symbol, imagine that. It was right in my face, and it was like changing, and the eyes, I'm doing the face, I'm glad you can't see me. The eyes were super wide, and it wasn't exactly a color, but I just remember the eyes were like, I hate to say glowing, because they weren't yellow. It was more like a sensation, like I can sense it, more than see it. It was like the eyes were humming. I know that's a sound, but they were like vibrating, like in and out to me. Like okay, they weren't circling spirals like when you see the hypnotizing symbol, but in that way, the eyes were doing that to me. When you said that red, it reminded me of something like that, but it wasn't red though. Peace, Ron Moses. Yes, yeah, gods. Anyway, I appreciate that. Okay, so I'm going to set up a panel where you can come in and tell your stories. I would like that. About the dark watchers or anything else. But email me if you want to do any other show topic like what you were speaking about earlier. And that's about it. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Shabbat Shalom. Hotep. Namaste. Ashe. All the greetings of love and light to the darkest minds of the light. Peace.